Guys, my name's Ash and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel today. Now, today's video is actually going to be my first tutorial of the year, and it is the timed finishing tutorial, one which is highly suggested because a lot of people are struggling with finishing. Now, what we're going to talk about today is how to use timed finishing, when to use timed finishing, when not to use timed finishing, and the different types of shots to use with timed finishing. So this video should definitely help you out. Before we get started, guys, I do think it's important that I say I'm sorry for not uploading recently. It's just I've been really busy. I've had a lot of coursework to do in my A levels, and regarding FIFA, I've just been trying to get better at the game because honestly I'm really not that great. I've finished Gold 1 in both weekend leagues now. I finished 21 and 8 today in the second weekend league. Obviously I didn't play my last game because there's absolutely no point. It's not like we have monthlies or whatever, but yeah, I am desperately trying to get better at the game to make better content, better tutorials, because who's going to want to watch a tutorial from a guy that's not actually good himself? Just in the background while we're talking, I'm just showing you some examples of me using timed finishing in the weekend league, and as you can see, it doesn't always guarantee a goal, which is something I'm going to explain a little bit later, but regardless, it is very useful and I highly advise you use it in certain situations. Just one more thing before we get into the video, guys. It would be awesome if you could subscribe if you aren't already and turn on notifications so you can be notified whenever any FIFA 19 content is posted. I'm going to be posting lots of tutorials, gameplay, packs, whatever you guys want to see. And yeah. So first things first, guys, the most important thing is to actually have timed finishing on, of course. So what you want to do is go to settings and then customize controls, and then make sure timed finishing is turned on in your controller settings, because obviously if that's not on, you can't actually use timed finishing. I think it's on default, but some people might have turned it off, but make sure that is on because that it's important. Now let's get the basics of the mechanics right first. How do you actually use timed finishing? Well, the way you do it is that you shoot just as you normally would, so power up your shot like you normally would, and then as the player is about to strike the ball, right at that moment you press the shoot button again, so the player will time his shot perfectly, hence making the shot better. Now I'm just going to re-show you that goal of Matuidi, but slowed down so I can actually explain what was going on there. So you can see we got into a clear space with Matuidi and took a touch forward, powered up our shot to 3 bars, and right there as he was about to strike the ball, we pressed the shoot button again to time the finish. Now here's a screenshot of the exact time you want to press shoot for the second time. So like I said, the first time you press shoot is when you power up your shot as normal, and the second time you press shoot, which is right here, is where you time the shot. So as your player is about to strike the ball, you can see this is the perfect time to press shoot for the second time. So some of you are probably wondering, how do you actually know if you've timed the finish correctly, if you've done it too early or too late, and what effect that has on the shot? So I'm going to explain this to you right now. If when you time the finish, it has like a green outline around the red indicator when you shoot, which is above your player's name, it means you've timed the shot perfectly, and that is like the best strike that your player can hit in that certain situation. If it's like a yellowy color, it means you've hit it early and that your shot's going to be considerably weaker than if you were to time it perfectly, meaning that you're probably not going to score the shot. But if your player has relatively high stats, there are instances where your player can actually score even if they hit it early. I've done it quite a few times, especially with finesse shots. Now if you hit it too late, you'll have like a grey indicator around the red triangle, meaning that you've done it too late, of course, and this actually has no real effect on your shot. It basically means you've done a normal shot essentially, because if you hit it too late, your timed finish cannot affect the trajectory of the ball because it's already left his foot, meaning you're just going to do a normal shot. And I think it's important that I mention you can still use normal shots when you have timed finishing enabled. It just means that when you have it on, you have the option to do it. If you don't want to use timed finishing, you just literally press the shot button once. Now, if you do an Alvaro Morata and completely mess up the timing of your shot and do it way too early, you'll see a red outline around your indicator indicating that you've completely messed up your shot. And if you get it way too early, your shot will just literally roll across the ground, or if it's on the volley, it will just, you know, float into space. Basically, if you get it red, your shot is awful. Here's just a quick example of me hitting the ball too late with Mertens. You can see it was like a grey outline around the indicator, meaning that the shot was too late. But like I said, if it's too late, it just means that you're going to do a normal shot, opposed to just like a perfect timed finish. So getting it late is much better than getting it early, because, you know, you're just basically doing a normal shot then. Now we're going to be a bit more specific with the timed finish, and we're going to move on to timed finesse shots, which I believe to be the most effective way to score from outside of the box and sometimes inside the box. Now you can see there with Milinkovic-Savic, we timed that to perfection and it flew straight into the corner of the net. Now let's dissect this goal with Milinkovic-Savic. I've slowed it down for you here. The most important thing when doing a timed finesse shot is getting into space so the defender cannot tackle you when you do the shot, because the problem with timed finishing, or one of the disadvantages, is that when you go to time a shot, obviously it takes more time than if you were to just do a normal shot, because you have to take the time to power up your shot and then time the shot. So it takes quite a long time, and if you have a defender applying pressure on you, quite often you're just going to hit it straight at the defender, or he's going to tackle you when you do it. So first off, when doing a timed finesse shot, it is extremely important to get yourself into space. Now here's one of the rare instances where I actually use it inside the box. Now you can see we have a lot of space there with Dele Alli, which gives us the time to actually power up our shot and time it. But if there was defenders on us, you know, where most of the time there is, it wouldn't have been the best option because it would take far too long. Now I'm just going to quickly show you a few more examples of me doing the timed finesse shot. So you can see we're always in space and we're always at that 45-degree angle, which is so useful for finesse shots. So yeah, you just want to make sure you have lots of space. Take your time, don't rush it. Just it becomes like a memory thing after a while, to be honest with you. But yeah, make sure you're in space, make sure you're on a good angle, and yeah, just relax really, because if you rush it, if you're nervous, you're probably going to screw it up. But if you just remember, like, I know how to do this, just literally take your time, you'll get it right more often than not, and it will score you a lot of goals. Now the next thing we're going to talk about is timed volleys, which is another thing I find to be very effective, because it seems to have a major effect on the volley modifier. Like, it seems to make your shots super powerful. Now, in all honesty, I have scored quite a lot of timed volleys. I just find it difficult to look for the clips because I have quite a lot on my PS4 right now, but I did find one that I scored with Mertens, and it was like a great example of what I'm trying to show you. So we're going to take a look at that now and dissect it. So here's the goal I scored with Mertens. I flicked it up over my head and bang, what a finish that was. Now, I find timed volleys to be quite easy in comparison to like normal shots and driven shots, because with a volley you can see the ball coming before it's at your feet, so you can power up your shot before it's actually anywhere near your player, and then as he strikes the ball you can time it, so you have a lot of time to actually time a volley. I'm just going to slow it down and show it to you guys a couple more times so you can see exactly what I mean and how I time it. And I would just like to say volleys are kind of similar to timed finesse shots in the sense that they're very situational. Now, the place I would use a timed volley is like when you're outside the box and you don't have a lot of players on you, or in a place where you're not likely to score, if you know what I mean. So like, let's say you're at a really tight angle and the ball comes to you on the volley, you're probably gonna have to time that shot in order to get it in. Whereas if you're like 5 yards away from the goalkeeper and you're looking straight at the goal and it's an easy tap in, I don't suggest timing it because you're probably gonna mess it up, and all it needs is like a little tap for it to go in, and sometimes if you time it at that closer range, your player just skies it over the bar anyway. So again, timed finishing is mainly for the longer range shots, first time shots, and ones where you're not likely to score without it, and you'll learn this kind of thing over time. It'll just come natural to you. You'll learn when to use it and when not to use it. But like, if you're in an easy one-on-one opportunity, it's probably not worth it to time the shot, because it'll take a long time to do, meaning the goalkeeper might take the ball off you or a defender might take the ball off you, and more often than not you don't need to use it anyway because a normal shot will go in. Now we're going to quickly move on to timed driven shots, and these are shots that I occasionally use and sometimes it comes off, but they're not one of the things I use all the time, like timed finesse shots. So I do have an example of me scoring one that I can show you, but it's not something I always use and it's very situational. So here's an example of a time-driven shot I scored with Perisic, and like I said, these are very situational, and I mainly use timed driven shots when the ball comes to my player and I want to hit it first time, as you can see there. Because if you don't time it and you hit it first time, it just turns into a P-roller for some reason. Like, it never goes on target and it just has no power whatsoever. So timed driven shots are very good for those first timed shots where you want to hit it across goal, or just, you know, take the keeper by surprise. You know, I don't use these too often, but whenever I do a driven shot, I use a timed driven shot because I feel like the normal driven shot is just terrible. And if I have the time and space to hit a low driven timed shot, I often will, opposed to just like doing it normally. It's one of the shots where I feel like it's necessary to use a timed finish, because like a finesse shot or a normal shot, you can get away with just hitting it without timing it, but there's something about driven shots, if you don't time them and get the power, they're just not very good at all. Just quickly, we're going to go over the normal timed shot, but I'm pretty sure I showed that at the start of the video with Matuidi, but we have another goal I scored which can, you know, demonstrate this pretty well. Now, timed normal shots are very situational, just like any other timed finish, in the sense that you only want to use them occasionally and not all the time. Now, the place I suggest using a normal shot, like timed, is when the ball comes to you and you want to hit it first time, or if like a game's not going your way, like your players are just missing lots of chances and you're not scoring a lot of chances and you really need to score a goal. I feel like that's when you want it to use a timed shot. Because the thing with like a normal lace shot is that it's something that you don't really need to time a lot of the time, because it will just go in if you press shoot a lot of the time. Like if you're on the edge of the box and you just do a lace shot without timing it, quite often it will go in. Like if you're one-on-one with a goalkeeper and you just tap shoot, it will go in sometimes. So it's not something that I believe to be completely necessary all the time, but it will give you the edge in games that are very tight and games where you have very few chances and need to score. So here's an example of just a normal time shot that I scored with Matuidi, and you can see the ball comes to him and I hit it first time. That is the best place to use a timed driven, sorry, not a driven shot, a lace shot, is when the ball comes to you first time, because it'll give you that extra accuracy and power that you wouldn't have if you didn't time it, and it will give you a better chance of scoring these chances. Lastly, I think it's fairly important that I address chip shots, in case that's what some of you came to look for. And the truth is, I don't really chip the ball that often, because nobody's really stupid enough to bring the keeper out 90% of the time. And when they do, you can just dink the ball over them without actually timing the shot. I don't really think it has that much of an effect because, well, yeah, I just seem to score them anyway. Now, that is all of the different types of timed shots that you can do and the best situations to use them in. And if you guys are looking for like a place to practice timed finishing, I have the perfect skill game for you. So the best place to go and actually practice timed finishing is not just like going into the shooting skill game. If you do go into the shooting section right at the end, as you can see, there is a tab called attacking scenarios. If you play through these, you basically get put with in-game situations that you might face in like an online game, where you can really utilize timed finishing and use it how you wish, and, you know, practice it. Like as you can see here, I don't time it perfectly, but you can see it puts you in certain situations where you can use timed finishing and would help you, you know, use it in a game scenario. It's just important that I add timed finishing does not always equal a goal, and there's quite often times where it won't score for you. As you can see there, it didn't score for me then, but it just increases the chances that you will actually score a goal. So don't expect to be scoring a goal every shot if you use timed finishing. It's not what it's there for. It's just to maximize the percentage and the chance that your player will actually score a goal. But yeah, that is it for today's tutorial, guys. If you have enjoyed it or found it informative, I would appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, so you never miss out on any videos like this one. And be sure to comment down below what tutorial you want to see next or what type of video, because I'm always open to suggestions. Like I said, I'm sorry for not uploading much this week. I've just been so busy with like even playing games, to be honest, and just like schoolwork and everything, so I hope you guys can understand that. But I'm hoping this tutorial's helped a lot of you out. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I hope you'll have a fantastic rest of your day, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next upload. Peace.